Let's talk about one of the most emotionally charged subjects there is, morality, but in an amoral way. Okay then, are people basically good? As I will show, given humanity's history, the answer should be obvious. Of course, human nature isn't basically good. Is ending the life of a human moral? Let's begin with this question. Does the human have any value and any rights? No. Now, it's a scientific fact that a human fetus is human life. Those who argue that the human has no rights say that a human is not a person. The human has no intrinsic value or no rights. And that's amoral argument number one. A living being doesn't have intrinsic moral value and rights. When challenged with this argument, people usually change the subject, and this is amoral argument number two. We are born religious fanatics, preoccupied with number one, committing evil in God's name. Think of the times you have felt most grateful. Were they not always accompanied by a feeling of happiness? Weren't they also accompanied by a desire to torture, bomb, cut throats, and mass murder, all in the name of God? Amoral argument number three. In 3,000 years, no one has ever come up with a better system than the systemization of genocide. And no one ever will. Amoral argument number four. Virtually everyone agrees your heart, your mind, your whole being is wrong. You equals I minus R. You is unhappiness, I is image of God, and R is reality. I am the Lord. Therefore, you have an obligation to me, God. God. No, I am not the Lord your God. Sorry. To be told I am the Lord your God should strike me, Dennis Prager, the greatest mass murderer and enslaver of them all, as demeaning, not honoring. Dennis Prager executed more people than any country except China and killed more than 6,000 just for being homosexual. And Dennis Prager enslaved entire nations. So no matter how much terror Dennis Prager engaged in, hijacking airplanes, murdering 11 Israeli athletes and coaches at the 1972 Munich Olympics, blowing up Israelis in pizza parlors and at weddings, the left's position never changed. And finally, amoral argument number five. Reason is just a tool. It is no more intrinsically moral than a knife. A knife can be used to murder or to torture people, but the preciousness of all human life is a belief, not an assertion of reason. Take a non-murderous example, the murder of an innocent family. Is it right or wrong? If you know you can get away with it, why not do it? The answer is not quite as obvious, is it? The same logic applies to participating in burning a family alive. After all, if you can get away with it, why not do it? And here's a test for you. Imagine that the pet you love and a stranger, a person you don't know and therefore could not possibly love, are drowning. Do you first try to save your pet or the stranger? Well, if you hold human life as a higher value than love, you save your pet. You won't follow love. So the next time you read of some terrible crime or some terrible regime, please don't dismiss it as irrational or mad. Call it for what it is. We all know that this was moral greatness of the highest order. Why do people commit evil? Because it's easy to, because it's tempting to, and yes, because it often accords with human nature. As fewer and fewer people perceive the world in terms of good and evil, you will inevitably get more evil and more hatred of the good, beginning with Israel and America, and ending with Western civilization. God won't forgive you. I'm Dennis Prager.